Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being and sustainable development 2022-2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns, and also commemorating India's G20 presidency in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art Sciences and Wellbeing. So before we start our session, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's session. Today, we are commemorating few events. Today is Accelerate ACL Awareness Among Young Women's Day in US. This is very much related to health and athletes, especially for women. It is observed annually on April 5th and is aimed at raising awareness among parents, coaches, educators, and young women on how to prevent and treat ACL injuries. The anterior cruciate ligament, ACL, is a ligament in the knee joint that prevents the tibia from sliding out in the front of the femur, as well as provides the rotational movement to the knee. According to several studies, women have a higher incidence of ACL injury than men. So the ACL, which stands for anterior cruciate ligament, is one of the ligaments in the human knee that prevents the tibia from sliding out in front of the femur. In the knee, there are three bones that meet to form a joint: the femur, thigh bone, the shin bone, tibia, and the kneecap, patella. These bones are connected to one another by ligaments. Ligaments, which are fibrous connective tissues, they are like thread-like bunch of thread-like structures. These cruciate ligaments are located in the knee joint, positioned to control the forward and backward motion of the knee and to brace it against any unusual movement. There are two types of cruciate ligaments, which are the anterior cruciate ligament, that is ACL, and the posterior cruciate ligament, that is PCL, both crossing each other. While the ACL is located in the front, the PCL is located in the back. So the ACL can be sprained or torn for a number of reasons, which include direct collision or contact, slowing down while running, landing incorrectly from a jump, rapidly changing direction, or stopping suddenly. An indication that ACL is injured is that person might hear a popping sound and may feel like the knee give out from the under the hip. So other symptoms may include pain, swelling, loss of full range of motion, discomfort while walking, and tenderness along the joint line. ACL injuries are most common among athletes. For those who plan to return to active competition, surgery is usually recommended. However, those who plan to retire to a less active lifestyle may decide to go bypass surgery and pursue non-surgical treatment. So studies have shown that women athletes have a higher incidence of ACL injury than their male counterparts. This might be a result of differences in muscular strength, physical conditioning, neuromuscular control, increased looseness in ligaments, or differences in pelvis and lower extremity alignment. Whatever the cause may be, women are more at risk. That underlines the importance of putting out more information and raising awareness to reduce the rate of ACL injuries among young women. Greek surgeon describes ACL. Galenus becomes the first to describe ACL as ligamenta genu-cruciata in his treatise on the usefulness of the parts of the body in 170 AD. Later on, James Stark publishes 2 cases of rupture of cruciate ligament of the knee joint, where he describes an ACL rupture in 1850. In 1917, ACL surgery is first performed. Ernest William Haig Groves performs the first ACL reconstruction surgery. In 1976, Joseph Torr, Conrad W., and Callan V. introduced the Latchman test in the clinical evaluation of ACL lesions in 1976. So even not only just ACL anterior, but also the posterior cruciate ligament can also be injured. And only minor tears can heal with non-surgical treatment and regenerative medicine therapy. If it is a major tear of the ligament, then a surgery would be required. And without surgery, complete recovery could take between 6 to 12 months, depending on the condition and the extent of tear that has happened. So protect your knees, whether you are athlete or not. Do the best to protect your knees and other parts of the body from injury. When performing dangerous moves or strenuous exercises, take adequate precautions and use safety equipment if needed. You may or may not know any athletes personally, but you can use your online voice to spread information. And though it is highly prevalent in athletes, but even common people can also have impact. So we can see few highest percentage or prevalence of ACL injuries in these sports. Soccer, according to a study carried out in 2013, 53.2% of the female athletes sustained ACL injuries while playing soccer. And in basketball, is a sport that requires jumping and landing, and injury can occur during a wrong landing. And next comes softball. According to a 2013 study, 11.4% of female high school athletes tore their ACL while playing softball. And next, football. The collisions and twists that are typical moves in the game of football are likely to cause injury to the ACL. And finally, skiing. While skiing, there is a risk of ACL injury because of the dangerous maneuvers involved in the sport. So these 5 sports are the highest risk where there is a greater or higher probability of ACL injuries: soccer, basketball, softball, football, and skiing. Of course, even other games are there which extensively involves the knee joint movement and rotations. There is a higher possibility of ACL or even at times PCL injuries. Apart from athletes, not many people are aware of the ACL and its importance in our lives. So this day offers an opportunity to learn about the anatomy of our knees and knee joints and how simple ligaments aids motion. So awareness is the first step in prevention. Spreading information about ACL injuries makes individuals more careful in their activities so that rate of injury is reduced. And this can also be used to assure athletes that not all hope is lost. ACL injuries doesn't have to be a death of an athlete's career. With proper treatment, they can resume normal lives after recovery. Today is also commemorated as Day of Hope in US, which is held on first Wednesday in April every year. It is a day of inspiration and motivation for everyone to wake up and need to rescue children and adults who are passing through phases of abuse of different kinds, sickness, and traumatic experiences. So the primary purpose is to strive to put an end to child abuse and neglect. It is time to raise to the call and give hope to the hopeless in whatever little way we can. When all is lost, hope is all we have, which keeps us pressing towards a better future and able to retain our harmony and sanity. The world is filled with several individuals who are battling with living a life of happiness and a fulfillment. And in turn, lots of children exist everywhere who experience some degree of abuse, neglect, deprivation, or molestation. It is painful but true that millions of children who should be well protected, loved, and taken care of are made to go through debilitating experiences which are harmful to them both physically and mentally, and which have in many cases led to their deaths. It pegs a big dent on our humanity, on our consciousness as a race, which birthed the idea behind the Day of Hope. Championed by Yoni Feddersen and Sarah O'Meara, Day of Hope began with a non-profit humanitarian organization, International Orphancing, which was later renamed as Child Help. Its main aim to fight for the welfare of the children all over the world and make these children know that they are not unloved. It seeks to provide help and succor to the child victims all around the world, and also sensitize and sundry about the need to protect and ensure the safety of the children. Research has found that children who have gone through harsh and abusive childhoods are at risk of becoming abusive, resorting to alcohol and drugs, engaging in criminal activities, or even committing suicide. But more than that, we have a responsibility to ensure the safety of children everywhere, which is what the Day of Hope stands to remind us. So the League of Nations adopts the Declaration of the Rights of the Children, which is drafted by Eglanty Jebb and is inspired by the work of Janusz Korczak, which is Geneva Declaration 1924. The United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, is established to cater to children's welfare in 1946. Yoni Feddersen and Sarah O'Meara set up the non-profit organization to help orphans in Japan and later renamed it as Child Help with a focus to help children all over the world in 1959. The United States House of Representatives assigned the National Day of Hope by a Congress resolution in 2000. So today is called the Day of Hope to bring hope to children facing abuse and neglect and stretch a hand to support them. There are various signs of child abuse and neglect in children. While some may show on their bodies in cases of physical abuse, it might lead to unusual quietness and withdrawals from others in the children or the child in such cases, putting up what we might term as tantrums. We need to observe well and get appropriate authorities to confirm and help such a child. The best step is to contact the proper authorities and report to them so that they can investigate and take necessary procedures. So we can contribute, volunteer at an NGO or donate to the cause and spread the word. So the impact the child abuse creates is quite devastating. The sexual molestation, according to research, 1 in every 10 boys or girls in the United States will be sexually abused before 18. And millions of children die all over the world every year from abuse and neglect. And neglect is a common form of child abuse, wherein the child's caretaker is not providing the needed physical and emotional needs necessary for the child's healthy development, and is the most common form of child abuse. Studies have shown that many criminals are mostly a result of an abusive childhood, which had an impact on them mentally. Abused children, adult criminals. In the United States, after every 10 seconds, a case of child abuse is reported. Thousands of children die every day from abuse, which is not a good thing in itself. The major reason for this day is to stop child abuse all over the world. Just like the name implies, Day of Hope is a day to bring hope to all children facing abuse and neglect, and humanity in general. It is a day to remind them about our united love and care for all lovable children in the world. Today, we are having one important day, that is International Day of Conscience. The preamble to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that disregard and contempt for human rights have resulted in barbarous acts which have outraged the conscience of humankind, and the advent of a world in which human beings shall enjoy freedom of speech and belief and freedom from fear and want has been proclaimed as the highest aspiration of the common people. Moreover, Article 1 of the Declaration states that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity, and rights are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. So the task of the United Nations is to save future generations from the scourge of war, requires transformation towards a culture of peace which consists of values, attitudes, and behaviors that affect and inspire social interaction and sharing based on the principles of freedom, justice, democracy, all human rights, tolerance, and solidarity that reject violence and endeavor to prevent conflicts by tackling their root causes to solve problems through dialogue and negotiation, and that guarantees the full exercise of all rights and the means to participate fully in the development process of the society. So, conscious of the need for the creation of conditions of stability and well-being and peaceful, friendly relationships based on the respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to race, sex, language, or religion. The General Assembly declared 5th April as the day of International Day of Conscience. So the General Assembly invited all members, organizations of the United Nations system and other international and regional organizations, as well as the private sector and civil society, including non-governmental organizations and individuals, to build culture of peace and love and conscience in according with the culture of other appropriate circumstances or customs of their local, national, regional communities, including through quality education and public awareness raising activities, thereby fostering sustainable development. The concept of culture of peaceful emerged from the International Congress on Peace in the Minds of Men, organized by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, in short known as UNESCO, and Cote d'Ivoire in July 1989. Since the promotion of culture of peace has increasingly been seen as a worthwhile objective of the international community, the evolving concept has inspired activities at so many levels in so many regions with the full participation of civil society that the culture of peace is gradually taking on the characteristics of a global movement. So within the United Nations system, the concept dates back to the Constitution of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, adapted more than 50 years ago, wherein that organization is called upon to construct the defenses of peace in the minds of men, because a peace based exclusively upon the political and economic engagements or arrangements of governments would not be a peace which could secure the unanimous, lasting, sincere support of the peoples of the world. And the peace must therefore be founded, if it is not to fall, upon the intellectual and moral solidarity of a mankind. So the task of constructing a culture of peace requires comprehensive educational, social, cultural, and civic action, in which each and every person has something to learn and something to give and something to share. It addresses all age groups, all groups, and it is an open-minded global strategy with a specific purpose, namely to make a culture of peace inseparable from culture per se and to take root in people's hearts and minds. Peace is not only the absence of difference and conflicts. It is a positive, dynamic, participatory process linked intrinsically to democracy, justice, and development for all, by which differences are respected, dialogue is encouraged, and conflicts are constantly transformed by non-violent means into new avenues of cooperation. Based on this broadest and most positive meaning of peace, a culture of peace is a set of values, attitudes, traditions and customs, modes of behavior and ways of life that reflect and are directed towards respect, for life, for human beings and their rights, the rejection of violence in all its forms, the recognition of the equal rights of men and women, the recognition of the rights of everyone to freedom of expression, opinion, and information, attachment to the principles of democracy, freedom, justice, development for all. So tolerance, solidarity, pluralism, and acceptance of differences and understanding between nations, between ethnic, religions, cultural, and other groups, between individuals. So the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, and the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations play an important role in fostering the intellectual dialogue. They conduct activities related to the culture and nonviolence and make efforts in promoting a culture of peace through a number of practical projects in the areas of youth, education, media, and migration, in collaboration with governments, international organizations, foundations, and civil society groups, as well as in the media and private sector. So this day is about the very foundations of UNESCO, its raison d'etre, the promotion of peace in these certain uncertain times. Its message is one which need more than ever, for it is when the universality of conscience is questioned and when one ignores one's own judgment, or when that judgment is repressed in others and that peace weakens and breaks down. Indeed, this is why Universal Declaration of Human Rights proclaims that all human beings are endowed with conscience and are free to act according to it. Not only that, the human conscience is an important intellectual quality that differentiates us from the rest of animal kingdom. The human mind is an amazing and complex unit, and the human conscience is even more. So this is a day to promote their importance, self-reflection, and doing the right thing. So the day also helps to improve society's collective good by identifying the corrections that needs to be done alone. Vedic texts describe conscience as the knowledge of good and evil that a soul acquires over many lifetimes. Buddhism also has a descriptions. Buddha associates conscience with a pure heart and a calm mind and compassion. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius connects conscience with the human capacity to live by rational principles of the universe. The psychologist Martha Stout defines conscience as an intervening sense of obligation based on our emotional attachments in 2005. So people with personality disorders exclude themselves from the needs and concerns of other people. And this is often interrupted as lack of moral conscience. Not only that, now even now normal people are also, uh, you know, excluding themselves and becoming more selfish. Evolutionary speaking, conscious drives us towards what we consider right and away from what we consider wrong. So most people have a general sense of right and wrong and understand how their actions affect others. So conscience is a complex term used this day to read and understand the concepts of conscience in different scenarios and areas, and discuss various iterations of conscience in the different schools of thought. Take time to deeply know about conscience. The more you think, the more you will learn. The human brain takes around 25 years to form fully, to develop. The information inside the brain is transmitted through the neurons as an electrical signals. As a, the information inside the brain is transmitted to the neurons as electrical signals at around 268 miles per hour. It was confirmed that we use most of our brains uh, only to the extent of 10% of our brain is a myth. So a piece of brain the size of a grain of sand contains as many as 1 lakh neurons and 1 billion synapses. So the human brain can generate around 23 watts of power. So conscience is a person's subjective moral sense that helps him or her decide right and wrong. By learning more about conscience, we can improve ourselves as better people with a better conscience. Understanding our conscience is essential. Today, people hear a lot about conscience, resulting in discussion and corrective actions if required. So, by learning more about conscience, we can improve ourselves as better people with a better conscience. Understanding our conscience is essential. Today, people hear a lot about conscience, resulting in discussion and corrective actions if needed. Morals are subjective matter. Each individual will find their morals to be superior and right. Exploring conscience can help us to understand the points in other people's morals. Today is also National Dandelion Day. Dandelions belong to a large genus of flowering plants in the family. Asteraceae, it is also an edible flower and was once native to Eurasia. Now dandelions are found all over the world. Travelers from Europe introduced the plants to North America. Dandelion is a perennial plant that is known to endure harsh conditions. The site of And as it is an edible flower and was once native to Eurasia, and travelers from Europe introduced the plants to North America, dandelion is a perennial plant that is known to endure harsh conditions. The sight of dandelion seeds gliding with the uh, wind to reach new lands to grow is inspiring and scenic. We are spending this day celebrating the unique qualities of the flower and the versatile traits that help it thrive all over the world. So dandelion is a tap-rooted perennial herbaceous plant native to the temperature areas or temperate areas of the northern hemispheres. Once dandelion flowers dry off and once dandelion flowers dry off, dropping petals and stamens, it opens into a spherical shape. Once the seeds are mature, they fly off with the help of fluffy parachute-like structures attached to their tips. The wind disperses the seeds. They are capable of traveling very large distances. We believe that the dandelion evolved around 30 million years ago in the Eurasian region. Our prehistoric ancestors were very well aware that the plant was edible and brimmed with medicinal properties. The properties of the plant raw dandelion green are rich in calcium, potassium, iron, magnesium, and various vitamins. The flower can also be used to produce a yellow dye. The plant is considered as an invasive species in various parts of the world. It can affect the growth of other crops, spread far, and grow fast. But it can also help plants if planted properly. Its roots can dig deep and bring forth the nutrients for shallow rooted plants. So dandelions are common in temperate regions. They are common sight on lawns, along with roadside shores of waterways and throughout areas with moist soils. The Americas, Australia, Turkey, and New Zealand are ideal for dandelions and they thrive actually there. And dandelion is also a herb that can be used for various infections. And dandelion flowers are tiny and difficult to collect, especially when they start to roam with the wind. I like the flowers and create a photo frame with them. So the meaning of dandelion is lion's tooth. Dandelions were once thought to cause bedwetting when touched. Some people believe that dandelion roots can enhance psychic abilities. Vineland in New Jersey is considered the dandelion capital of the US. Every part of the dandelion plant can be eaten and they all have medicinal properties. The little seeds of dandelion flowers spread throughout the wind. It is an amazing view to see such a small seed spreading throughout the world, dominating the wild and unknown lands. Dandelions are one of the most widespread wildflowers. It endures that through harsh and pushing climates of every continent and survives, making it one of our favorite flowers with a story. So when we love is something beautiful and useful spreads throughout the world like wildfire. We know how a small seed can spread throughout the world and became one of the most common wildflowers. Today is also commemorated as National Flash Drive Day. It is a small object that deserves a commemorative day of its own, given how easy it has made it to store and transfer data. The flash drives or USB pen drives, or it is being called, also keep getting better day by day. So, for example, did you know that the first flash drive had only 8 MB data capacity? And today, the tiny gadget, usually weighing less than an ounce, can hold more than 2 TB. And as if change in storage capacity wasn't good enough, now you can also get cool and rather cute looking flash drives in the shapes of hamburgers, noodles, animals, and whatnot, and even wait for it. You know, these flash drives with memory were also used for digital signatures and as biometric keys earlier. Even we used it to access when we were working in corporate sector, especially to gain access and to documents and to secured server rooms, and also for authentication. So back in 80s, the Japanese engineer, Dr. Fujio Masuko, working for Toshiba, invented flash memory. The flash part of the technology gets its name because the quick erasure action of the memory technology was similar to a camera flash. As the years progressed and the technology enhanced, floppy disks and disk drives became just some of the ways in which the technology was being utilized. However, with the advent of the flash drive, other forms of memory drives became obsolete due to their flimsy and bulky structures. The world has Dow Moran, Oren Ogden, and Amir Ban to thank the flash drive invention. These Israeli scientists working for M Systems created the more compact and regular chip that made strong and transferring data much easier. Initially, flash drives were only sold in Singapore, but on April 5th, 2000, the US acquired a patent for the flash drive, and from then on, it became much more readily available everywhere in the country as well as the rest of the world. To commemorate this technological revolution brought by the flash drive, USB Memory Direct deemed April 5th as official National Flash Drive Day. People have been celebrating the day by appreciating the device versatility and remembering the less fortunate by donating their unused devices. So this is called a flash drive because of the system on which it runs. The word flash relates to the flash memory on which it operates, and the drive points to the same system that a traditional disk drive uses to read and write information. So you can install programs on your drive that require a password to access drive files. A further step of protection includes encrypting your files so that only you can access them. And a flash drive, due to its immobile parts, is extremely durable as it can survive surface scratches, falls, pressures, etc. So appreciate the long way we have come by indulging in and or learning about the technologies in the past. Try watching presentations or pictures, reels, or floppy disk, or playing nostalgic 80s and 90s games. Whatever it may be, you'll surely come to appreciate the wonder that a flash drive or a port is. And carry this little cutie anywhere with you while being technologically stylish and funky. You can also get a customized flash drive with all your favorite features directly from USB Memory Direct. If you have an extra or unused flash drives lying around your space, declutter by donating them to charities, educational institutions, hospitals, or a friend in need. Lower temperatures means longer shelf life. A USB kept in a refrigerator will have a longer life as compared to one kept outside. But, do not keep them in freezers, so that you have heard or learnt about this. Even in normal temperature also it survives. So you can always keep them in room temperatures, because sometimes, the moisture and other water content inside the drive may damage if it is not completely dry. So it is always not usable. It has to be taken in the right sense, that lower temperature means lower shelf life. And you can also view data on a USB an unlimited amount of times. Yet, you can only overwrite the information 1 million times. And you don't need to visit computer experts to update Windows older versions, because all you need is a USB flash drive. Nowadays, all the updates performed on the systems are through USB flash drives. Like Windows 10 and Windows 11 and various other softwares, operating systems, and applications can be installed using flash drive. And unlike other memory drives, a USB data is not impacted by electromagnetic interference, keeping your data safe and sound. So no magnet can ruin data on USB. And you can also become environmentally friendly by using USB drives, as they use very little energy and can store huge data on it. So flash drives can import and export data discreetly, guaranteeing confidentiality, unlike other online storage clouds. In 2016 and 2017, North Korean defectors used flash drives to transfer a substantial amount of data to the outside world to reveal the atrocities committed by their states. Often, though they are secure, often they are also used to transmit virus and other trojans and other malicious codes where they are misused. So always use flash drives in a clean environment, so that you do not transmit these virus and other trojans or malicious code. So thanks to the little storage friend in our pockets, we can drive data around in a flash. 15 years ago, it was hard to imagine that we would be carrying around a ton of information stored in a tiny chip. So we were using hard drives, which are as big as nowadays, almost a size of a pack of a laptop box. So since that size, now we are, we have come to a very small, even nano size chip of around 5 mm or so. So this day is an ode to what humans can achieve with sheer willpower and determination. Today is also commemorated as National SI 5-Star Phone Certification Day. So this day was founded by Scheduling Institute, a practice management company that works with professionals with medical industry, such as dentists. They provide courses online and in-person training and certifications to help and improve and grow employees' practices and to enhance the patient's experience. Scheduling Institute's 5-step certification process teaches team members how to competently handle incoming phone calls for their business. And the goal of National SI 5-Star Phone Certification Day is to celebrate these and those who have successfully completed the program. Today is also commemorated as Read a Roadmap Day, Adventure Calls, and this day is going to answer with full enthusiasm and excitement. Today, technological advancements have made life a lot easier to navigate, both literally and figuratively. If you want to visit a place that you have never been to before, or you don't know exactly how to get it to a spot in your city, fret not. Pull up your GPS, global positioning system, or your smartphone, and you are good to go. However, the days of yore, with in all fairness, was not that long ago. People employed a paper roadmap, aids to help themselves in understanding their routes. The same goes for the US military too, until they upgraded to the GPS and thus recorded the first instance of GPS being used in the country. We see where there was no GPS systems earlier, we used maps and compass to travel and to explore. And paper roadmaps have become somewhat obsolete in today's day and age, but this is exactly why Read a Roadmap Day aims to raise awareness. There's much history attached to the roadmaps from the times of ancient Egypt or to the modern Europe. As its basic roadmap includes travel routes and links that lead and connect to all major and minor points of a place. These types of maps also showcase political boundaries and any restrictions. Apart from these, roadmaps also aid in finding the nearest pit stops, gas stations, and other transport options. Famous landmarks, tourist sites, hotels, inns, etc. are also included. The types of content you will find on a roadmap depend on the type of roadmap you have on hand. For example, single page and smaller roadmaps will outline all the major and minor routes. On the other hand, larger and foldable maps display more details. Today, paper roadmaps may have become a thing of the past, but they still offer much needed guidance, especially when technological devices are of no use, either due to network issues or battery problems or device issues. Paper roadmaps also allows us to peek into yesterday's experiences, allowing us to indulge in nostalgia. While it is unclear who created Read a Roadmap Day or when it was first celebrated, so this day creates awareness about human beings' amazed feats and advancements. Today is also commemorated as Qingming Festival in China. The Qingming Festival or Tomb Sweeping Day, which goes back to 2500 years, happens on April 5th. and it is the first day of the fifth solar term of traditional Chinese calendar, observed mainly by Han Chinese and Chitti people of Malaysia. It's a time when people honor their ancestors through traditional food offerings and sweeping tombs. This festival is closely linked to farming as well. As temperatures rise and rainfall increases, Qingming is a sign for farmers to plant in the spring. And sweep the tomb makes traditional cold food offerings and lay lilies and chrysanthemums on tombstones. It's traditional to fly kites with a string of little lanterns tied on them. People fly kites at night as well. The Chinese believe that burning currency notes as offerings to the dead will help one buy things in the afterlife. It might be a public holiday, but not all Chinese celebrate. But only 24 ethnic minorities in China celebrate this day. In Chinese tea culture, tea leaves picked before this date are considered to be higher quality and fetch a bigger price. So pre-Qingming tea is more expensive. In Chinese, the word Qingming means pure brightness. And since the festival comes at the beginning of the spring, the sun shines brightly. It means pure brightness. In the south of China, people eat Qing Tuan, a tasty rice and barley dumpling. The Tujia ethnic group eats and Miamo minority enjoy a pastry called Qingming. Ancestor worship is a very important part of Chinese culture, and this is one of the 4 important Chinese festivals dedicated to the ancestors. As I already mentioned it many times, all the, in fact, Hinduism is being the oldest religion on the planet. You can see even today, we perform ancestral rituals and rites to ancestors or deceased persons in a similar way, including all the major religions, even today, like even Christianity, Islam, and even various other religions have these traditions. Most of the religions, you see, all features are imbibed or drawn from Hinduism, because that was the initial, system which was prevailing. And you can see a lot of similarities. Yesterday also we were discussing, and today, as we are also commemorating International Conscience Day, we need to be very conscious of ourselves, our beliefs, our feelings, our emotions, our attitudes, our perceptions of ourselves and the world around us. So spring is in the air during Qingming festival. It's a time for family outings as well as planting. Originating the Zhou dynasty, the Qingming festival has a history that spans more than 2,000 years. And today, for the largest community of Christianity, today is celebrated as Holy Wednesday. According to Christians, Holy Week begins with the first day, known as Palm Sunday, and ends with Holy Saturday, the day before Easter Sunday, which is celebrated by many to proclaim the resurrection of the Jesus Christ from the dead. Holy Week is a week when most Christians value and cherish their faith and religion, because their God suffered and died and was resurrected. In the Greek and Roman literature books, this time is said to be called the Great Week, because God did many great deeds during this time for them. So it is also happens to be the final week of Lent and the beginning of Ash Wednesday. And Lent is a period in which Christians reflect and repent, because Jesus sacrificed and starved with no food for 40 days in the desert. So during the Great Week, Christians remember and perpetuate the Passion of Christ, who died on Good Friday to save humankind. The theme usually for this week is sorrowful, where people contemplate all the actions Jesus did to save everyone in their community. Holy Week finally starts with the Palm Sunday and ends on Holy Saturday, consisting of 7 days before Easter Sunday. So during this week, Christians do many different practices and has varying traditions and ceremonies to reflect on Jesus until he is resurrected on Easter. So on Sunday, they finally rejoice and celebrate the miracle and Savior himself. Today is also commemorated as National Raisin and Spice Bar Day. To enjoy sweet, delicious raisins filled with aroma of fragrant spices, this is relatively a new commemoration, but it aims to appreciate the goodness of the raisin and spice bar and the snacks to treat we can make from it. There is a soothing texture and the flavor that makes day sweet, enjoyable in no time. Though these raisin and spice bar is not new to our Indians. We make so many, similar kind of sweets with this puff rice and using jaggery, and we use various other preparations as part of our festivals as well. So it is a day to appreciate the goodness of the raisin and spice bar and the snacks or treats we can make from it. So grapes are delicious on their own. We have been using it since prehistoric times, but we did not know about raisins until 2000 BC. Raisins were extensively used throughout history as a delicacy. It is dried fruit and the goodness of nutrients inside. Today we are using raisins for numerous health benefits. Raisins improve digestion, eyesight, blood pressure, and bone strength, immunity, and even tooth decay. The use of spices also dates back to the dawn of civilizations, and records mentioning them from ancient India, Egypt, and China. Cinnamon is widely considered the oldest spice used. Spices are sometimes also referred to as herbs, but they are different and are made from different sections of plants and are often processed in different ways. But one thing they have in common is the medicinal benefits. Spices can boost numerous clinically proven medical benefits. They are rich in compounds that can work inside our bodies and make us better. The combination of raisins and spices creates a delicious mix of mouth-watering taste with tons of health benefits. It is simple to prepare, elegant to arrange, rich in nutrients, and most importantly, it is best for gifting your loved one. It is a comfort food that can go with anything we like, no matter how we make it. This simple dish is dancing stage for refreshing flavors and can complement each other, making the dish a perfect culinary treat. Turkey produces the most raisins in the world. Drinking raisin water regularly can help fight digestive issues like constipation, indigestion, and improve bowel movement. Although raisins are dried grapes, raisins can contain 3 times more antioxidants than grapes. So food is always better when it is shared with everyone. Share your treat you bake with raisins and spices with your family and friends. Ancient Roman physicians used to prescribe raisins to treat mushroom poisoning. Roman Emperor Augustus loved to eat small birds after they were cooked and stuffed with raisins. 4 pounds of grapes will only give you 1 pound of raisins. And ancient Greeks used raisins as prizes in sporting events. And Hannibal, a Carthaginian general, provided raisins to his troops when crossing the Alps. So raisins and spices go well together. They offer different flavors, but combining these is a feast for us. And today is also commemorated as National Walking Day. A day to celebrate the easiest way to be the healthiest version of you. Walking for 30 to 60 minutes per day may sound like isn't too much, but the studies have shown that it can drastically improve your health and even prevent ailments such as type 2 diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. Walking has been a part of being human. Many archaeologists have found that even humans were not nomadic tribes. We would often walk great distances to stalk our prey and wait for them to sleep before pouncing. Walking is essentially what humans are physically we best at. We are slow runners, the worst swimmers, and we can't even fly without a big jet engine. Walking is humans' bread and butter. There's also a reason why race walking is an Olympic sport after all. Walking has always held a close, dear place in the hearts of humans, whether it may be for spiritual journeys or even for pilgrimage. It's no wonder that there are so many health benefits associated with it, and also why National Move More Month and National Walking Day was created to promote this fantastic, surprisingly easy pastime. So take 30 minutes to an hour to get the blood pumping and the legs moving. Go for a walk and do a race walk as well. They are a great form of aerobic exercises, and you can impress your friends with your new faster walking technique. Join a walking club. It's a great way to get out the work done and also meet fun people at the same time. So 3.1 miles per hour, the average walking speed of a human, and the walking duration, a pair of tennis shoes lasts for 500 miles. 50% of the Americans can exercise, are the ones who exercise regularly, and 6,000 steps a day that improves overall health. And the distance of a person walks in their lifetime is around 65,000 miles. The distance it would take to walk every week to end 500 pounds of carbon dioxide emissions every year is 10 miles. The number of extra minutes of walking it would take to burn 7 pounds of body fat per year is 20 minutes. The number of steps that equals 1 mile is 2,000 steps. The percentage boost human creativity gets from walking is 60%. The time it takes to curb sugar cravings by walking is 15 minutes. So this is no barrier. Walking is obviously the most popular activity on National Walking Day. Just make sure you put on one foot in foot of the other. So get out there and get competitive. Race walking is a great aerobic exercise and can help you zoom around the town of lightning speeds. If you prefer, take a light jog instead. Sometimes walking is just too slow for your speedsters, and the next step up is nice and relaxed but efficient. Walking is most popular form of exercise in US and around the world. Walking increases blood flow to the brain and improves our mood. Walking speed tells us how long a person will live. Walking can help reduce the risk of colon and breast cancer. Hippocrates said it right. He said walking is a man's best medicine. And getting outside is also an important element to maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Walking is a great way to get outdoors. Walking 10,000 steps per day is an effective way to improve your health. No weights necessary, no running, no special skills or talents. Just get out there and walk. Today is also commemorated as National Self-Care Day. We tend to put our needs and well-being on the back burner at times. Taking care of oneself is an integral to keep functioning properly. Our minds and bodies require adequate rest and care for optimal health and well-being. This day emphasizes the importance of self-care as the basis for good health. It's also a day when individuals are encouraged to prioritize self-care and make it a habit. Self-care is the act of caring for oneself through means that help us feel our healthiest and happiest. It has become the most common form of healthy living and allows us to do something that will otherwise be considered selfish, prioritizing ourselves. It has existed since the dawn of mankind before notions of medicine, therapy, or other healthcare systems when humans had to rely on themselves to achieve optimal health through practical means of self-care was originally used for the institutionalized patients to help them develop self-worth through acts of personal care and preservation. It became a popular term in the medical field to truly understand the mental awareness concepts like post-traumatic stress and to help patients suffering from such conditions navigate their way through life. Modern self-care, as we now understand, it was popularized by the civil rights movements of the Black Panther Party in 1960s. It began with the party meeting in the needs of community members through the establishment of health clinics, food distribution, and creating programs at a time when it was even harder for people belonging to the minority sections to gain access to the health. So they encourage activists, leaders, and other members of the community to prioritize themselves and their mental and emotional states through activities like yoga and meditation. Today, self-care has become a global approach to catering to one's needs and is encouraged through any means that help you feel your best. Chicago-based development coach Laura Schwartz is the pioneer of National Self-Care Day and has created the day to remind us to take a break and put ourselves first. Today is also National Body Care Day. This day honors the fundamental human right of self-care and reminds us to draw lessons from our natural environment to live a better life. Every day, our skin goes through a lot. The skin acts as a shield, protecting our bodies from harsh elements, water, and other environmental pressures. Maintaining the appropriate function of the crucial layer of the protection helps lower the incidence of chronic degenerative skin illness. While being pampered is pleasurable, self-care and appropriate skin care are key healthy habits that we shall all practice. For generations, people have glorified their bodies. There were Karkala baths, which boosted cutting-edge bathing technology and were visited by hundreds and thousands of people. There were hot baths, cold baths, mud baths, resting places, books, and much more. Spartans and other groups are promoted physical, mental wellness. In modern times, we have things like yoga, studios, and fitness classes for different types of exercises. So with this, we shall conclude today's day's commemoration. And thank you everyone for joining us. The registration link for today's webinar series has been shared in the chat box. It's also on the website. And it's the same link for every day. You can register after filling up the feedback form, which will be shared now. You can copy and keep the link. And you can click the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of polls. It is mandatory. So we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form. And thank you everyone for joining us. Tomorrow we may or may not have session. So anyway, just check out around 6 o'clock. If you are able to join, then we can have a session. If network permits, otherwise we will join on the very next day. If there are any queries, you can use chat box or raise your hand or unmute yourself. If there are no queries, then we shall conclude it for the day. Thank you everyone for joining us after filling up the feedback form. Do register if not yet registered. The link is there in the chat box. See you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night.